Hey guys, welcome back to Confess and Chill. Hope you're all doing okay tonight. The story you're about to hear, it starts like every other relationship story. Two people, some secrets, and a promise that didn't sound like a threat. She said, I won't go public until you do something. But when he finally did, he uncovered the kind of truth that doesn't just end love, it changes who you are. Let's begin, she said she won't go public until I do something. I didn't expect what she meant. I thought go public meant what everyone thinks it means, a couple selfie, two coffee cups in a story, maybe a tagged photo at a concert. Nothing big, just acknowledgement, proof that I wasn't something to be hidden. She said she wouldn't go public until I did something. I thought she meant love her better. I didn't realize she meant ruin a man to save her soul. We met in a night class I was only taking because I didn't know how to stop disappointing myself. She sat 2 rows back, always half in shadow, like she didn't want the light to recognize her. Or that's what I'll call her. She laughed like it was an accident. She apologized after joy like it was contraband. I remember thinking, who taught her to flinch at happiness? At first, I thought her secrecy was just mystery. Then I started realizing mystery has weight when it's not shared. She never tagged locations, never introduced me to anyone. Her apartment had no family photos. Even her name on her buzzer was written in pen, not printed. It didn't bother me until it did, because love kept private too long starts to look like shame. One night I joked, are you in witness protection or just allergic to good lighting? She didn't laugh. She looked at me quiet and careful and said, I won't go public until you do something. I asked what. She just said, when you're ready, you'll know. Weeks passed. Every time I tried to bring her into my life, she found a reason to step back. My friend's birthday, a work event, my mom's dinner invitation, her favorite phrase became, not yet, and I started asking myself, what am I not enough of yet? She changed routes home every week. She never sat with her back to the door. She'd scan every restaurant before sitting down. Once she saw a man at another table and went pale, like color itself was leaving her body. I remember thinking, whatever this is, it didn't start with me. The first discovery was stupidly ordinary. I was at her place looking for a corkscrew and found a second phone tangled in a drawer of cables. Older model, heavy, no SIM. Lock screen was awake at night. I didn't open it. Something in me knew that phone wasn't sleeping. It was buried. That night I asked about it casually. She said, that's my dead phone. I keep it like an urn. I laughed. She didn't. She looked me straight in the eye and said, thank you for not turning it on. Then softer, you don't want to meet the ghosts that live in there. I remember my chest tightening, not from fear, but recognition. Because I had ghosts too, just better at dressing up as personality. Then came the gala. My boss, M, was the kind of man people orbit without realizing it. He had that perfectly measured warmth that makes you forget he's dangerous. When I told him about R, he smiled like he already knew her. Bring her to the gala next month, he said. Let the world see you both. The irony still makes my stomach turn. When I invited R, she said no instantly. I asked why. She said, I can't be a secret that people can see. I said, you're not a secret. She said, then do something about it. Her tone didn't sound like a dare. It sounded like a countdown. That night she finally told me why she never faced the door. She said, because if he walks in, I need to be the first to know. I asked, who? She said, my old life wearing a new coat. It didn't make sense yet. But my gut had already started preparing for bad news. The next week at the gala, M was celebrated for something I don't even remember, integrity, probably. A slideshow of his career played on screens. Then for less than a second an image appeared, M with his arm around a young woman in a light blue dress, half out of frame, smiling like she'd been coached. It wasn't her face that froze me, it was her necklace. A thin chain, same pendant R wears every day, always tucked under her shirt. For a second I thought my body was lying to me. Then I realized my body had recognized her before my brain did. That's when I knew what do something really meant. I confronted her the next morning, shaking. Was that you, the girl in the photo? She closed her eyes and whispered, I was 19. I asked what happened. She said what always happens when a man in power tells a lonely girl she's special. And then she told me everything. How M found her through a scholarship program, how he called it mentorship, how he called her at night to talk about potential, how he liked her hair, professional. How the first time he crossed a line, he apologized with the kind of sincerity only predators practice. She said he built me up just to own the view from the top, and I said the worst thing possible. I'm sorry, because sorry sounds comforting but feels like distance. And she needed someone who'd step closer, not apologize from far away. Then she said it again. I won't go public until you do something. What do you want me to do? I want you to choose me over him. It should have been easy. It wasn't because M was my mentor. He'd been the first man to tell me I was going places. He taught me how to talk in rooms that didn't want to hear me. He helped me pay rent once. That's how monsters stay fed. They make you feel indebted. But I looked at R, trembling and furious and brave, and realized I couldn't keep both of them in my life without becoming one of them. So I did it. I went back to the office after hours, told security I was there for a server migration. The building at night was quieter than guilt. The air hummed like a lie trying to stay warm. When I logged in, my hands shook so much I mistyped the password twice. Each beep sounded like a heartbeat trying to keep me alive. The file was buried deep under decoy folders, old audits, legal logs, but there it was. A deletion record renamed to something dull, driver safety test on MFR. I hesitated. Part of me prayed it was just a mistake, because if I opened it, I could never go back to being innocent, I remember thinking. There's a moment between ignorance and truth where you're both free and doomed. I clicked play. No sound, just grayscale, a road, a cyclist, headlights. Then the car drifted, not swerving, drifting, like the driver didn't even care. There was a flash of panic, then impact. The cyclist went down hard, brake lights flickered, then went out. The camera caught the stillness after. The road empty again, just silence pretending to be peace. I didn't cry right away. I froze. Then I heard myself whisper, "Please tell me this isn't him." And then I started sobbing like I could wash the image away with salt water. That's when I felt someone behind me. M was standing in the doorway. He said, working late, his voice calm, familiar, fatherly. For a second I wanted him to yell. Silence from guilty men is worse than shouting. It sounds like ownership. I stammered something about verifying backups. He looked at the monitor, then at me. "That file is restricted," he said, and I swear he smiled. "You know," he said, "people who want to be good archivists keep everything. But real survivors delete." I said, "She was 19. He blinked once, then smiled again. "She was grateful," he said, "until she wasn't." That's when something in me snapped, not loudly, quietly, like a bone deciding to heal wrong. "I'm not deleting anything," I said. He sighed like a teacher disappointed in a student. "Think carefully," he said. "You could run this place one day. Don't trade your future for her past." And maybe that's what bravery actually is, not a roar, not a speech. Just a single, shaking sentence that makes the world tilt. "I already did," I said. Then I pulled the USB from the port, walked past him, and left. When I showed R the footage, she didn't speak. She just pressed her fingers to the screen like she was praying to a ghost. I said, "I don't know if this fixes anything." She said, "It doesn't have to, it just has to exist." We sent it to a reporter she trusted. No names, no promises, just truth. 3 days later, the story broke. M denied everything, cried on camera, used words like context and reputation. But the file spoke louder than any press release. I lost my job. R got her peace, or something close to it. We started walking outside together again. At first, she still faced the door. Then one day, halfway through breakfast, she caught her reflection in the window and said, "I don't need to anymore." And I swear I'd never seen sunlight look that proud. We still don't post photos, but one day she uploaded a single image, her hand in mine, shadows stretching long across the sidewalk. No tags, no captions, just light. Someone commented, "Finally public." She didn't reply, but I did. I wrote, "Not public, just no longer hidden." Sometimes love isn't about holding on, it's about standing next to someone when they finally stop hiding. Sometimes doing something means breaking what kept you safe. And sometimes the bravest thing a person can do is be seen. R once told me everyone has a door they face to keep the past out. Now, when I hold her hand, I realize we're not guarding the door anymore. We're standing in the doorway together, letting the light in. You've just heard one of those confessions that sits with you long after it ends. A story about how love can ask for things we're never ready to give, and how sometimes doing the right thing means losing everything that felt safe. If this story made you feel something, tell me what part stayed with you, because maybe you've been there too, choosing truth over comfort. Thanks for staying till the end. This was Confess and Chill, where the quietest stories speak the loudest.